Tucked high in the arid peaks of California's Inyo Mountains, beyond the reach of modern highways and far from the buzz of city life, lies a place that time couldn't quite forget. It's not on most maps. It has no zip code, no Starbucks, no gas stations. But what it does have is something infinitely more powerful. Stories etched into wood and stone, whispered by the wind, and guarded by crumbling buildings that refuse to fall. This is Cerro Gordo, a once booming silver town that helped fund the rise of Los Angeles, only to be abandoned, left to ghosts and decay. But unlike the hundreds of other ghost towns scattered across the American West, Cerro Gordo has something rare, a heartbeat. For over 150 years, it was privately owned by a single family. Then, in 2020, one man with a camera, a dream, and no experience in construction decided to buy it, sight unseen. What followed was a modern-day odyssey of isolation, resilience, loss, and the unexpected rebirth of a forgotten American treasure. This isn't just a story about old buildings or buried silver. It's about the people who once lived, loved, fought, and died on that mountain, and the one man trying to bring their town back to life. Enter Brent Underwood. Brent was not a miner, he was not a historian, he was a digital marketer from Austin, Texas, who once co-authored a best-selling book and managed a hostel. But Brent was also a seeker, a storyteller looking for a place with soul. When he stumbled upon the Cerro Gordo listing, he was hooked. The price? $1.4 million. It came with 300 acres, 22 structures, and a history deeper than most cities. He partnered with his friend John Beer, scraped together funding, and made the leap. They closed the sale in July 2018. Brent stepped onto the mountain with grand plans to restore the town, honor its history, and eventually open it to the public. What he didn't expect was to fall in love with the silence, the sky, the creaking wood. He came as a visitor. He stayed as a caretaker. When the pandemic hit in 2020, Brent did what few would dare. He isolated in Cerro Gordo alone. When the world shut down in early 2020, Cerro Gordo found itself in a unique position. While cities went into lockdown, Brent chose a different path. With society retreating indoors, he headed deeper into the past, into isolation at over 8,000 feet. The world below faced panic and uncertainty. Above, Cerro Gordo offered solitude, silence, and endless work. Brent committed to staying indefinitely, alone, using the time to begin the massive restoration project. It wasn't a retreat, it was a rebirth. Each day was physically grueling. Restoring 150-year-old buildings without electricity, running water, or proper roads meant carrying lumber on his back, shoveling snow off rooftops, and working in freezing temperatures. There were no contractors, just Brent, his dog, and whatever tools he could carry. But the solitude became spiritual. Days passed without another human voice. Nights stretched long and cold, the stars so bright they seemed to pierce the soul. He read journals from former residents by lantern light, turning their words into blueprints. One morning, while clearing debris, Brent discovered a hand-forged pickaxe stamped with 1872. In another building, a child's shoe, perfectly preserved. The mountain whispered its secrets. As Brent worked, he documented his journey on YouTube. What started out as just occasional video updates, honestly, soon evolved into one of the most captivating digital series of the pandemic era. Audiences were captivated by the juxtaposition. One man restoring a ghost town alone in a digital world filled with noise. His calm narration, those dusty surroundings, and heartfelt storytelling really stood out. No gimmicks, just history, hammering, and heart. Videos like spending 30 days alone in a ghost town went viral. Comments flooded in from teachers, historians, travelers, and dreamers. People offered donations, advice, and even volunteered to help. Brent became, well, a digital pioneer, reviving a physical relic. Cerro Gordo is not just haunted by history, it is, according to many, literally haunted. Whispers have long surrounded the town, stories of shadowy figures in windows, footsteps echoing in empty halls, and doors slamming in windless nights date back to the mining days. Old miners believed the mountain took a soul for every vein of silver it gave. Brent didn't come looking for ghosts, but they found him. He's shared stories of unexplained noises, lights flickering in buildings with no power, and the unmistakable sound of boots on wooden floors when no one else is around. Visitors report similar experiences. One guest, filming a documentary, swore she saw a woman in a long dress walk through the Union Hall, only to find it empty moments later. Some believe the spirits are protectors watching over their town. Others say they are trapped, bound to a place they could never leave in life. Brent treats these legends with respect. If there are ghosts, they've been through worse than me. I just want to give them back their home. Restoring Cerro Gordo is more than a physical challenge. It's a moral one. Every beam replaced is a decision. Every building resurrected is a story told or changed. Brent constantly walks a line between preservation and modernization. Should the town remain exactly as it was, or evolve with the times? Should it have Wi-Fi to support guests, or stay rooted in the 1800s? Every nail driven brings both restoration and responsibility. He often consults historians, miners, and descendants of former residents. One family sent photos of their grandfather in the 1920s, asking if his bunkhouse could be restored. Others sent artifacts, journals, and even heirlooms, trusting Brent to honor them. There's also the emotional toll. The work is lonely, dangerous, and relentless. Structures collapse, weather delays progress, and financial pressures loom large. But Brent remains undeterred. I'm not just restoring buildings. I'm restoring memory. What's next for Cerro Gordo? Brent's vision continues to evolve, but the mission remains the same: to preserve, share, and inspire. Plans are underway for a full historical museum, built using salvaged wood from the original structures. Art installations and residencies are being considered. A rebuilt general store could serve as a community hub, offering handmade goods and local art. Tours will be limited and respectful, focusing on education rather than tourism. Classes in woodworking, blacksmithing, and historical storytelling may one day echo through the hills. More documentaries are in development, along with a possible book and feature film. Brent also dreams of building a retreat for artists, writers, and creators, a place to find peace, just as he did. And through it all, the work continues. One nail, one plank, one story at a time. Cerro Gordo is no longer dying. It's being reborn, by hand, by heart, and by hope. The wind howls through the broken rafters of the old American hotel, a constant companion to the ruins of Cerro Gordo. It carries the smell of dust and decay, and the echoes of a time long past. If you stand still enough, you might hear the faint sound of boots crunching over the snow-covered ground, or voices murmuring from deep within the mine shafts, where sunlight has not touched in over a century. These are not mere tricks of the mind, they are the whispers of history, carried on the wind, woven into the very fabric of this forsaken place. Cerro Gordo is not just a collection of decaying buildings. It is more than the sum of its wooden beams, broken windows, and rusted metal. It is a memory, a living, breathing monument to the past. The town refuses to die. The mountain has been scarred by the hands of miners, settlers, and dreamers. Yet through all the destruction, all the years of abandonment, Cerro Gordo endures. Its bones may be brittle, its walls may be cracked, but it has not surrendered to the march of time. It stands resilient, as stubborn as the miners who once called it home. Every step taken by Brent Underwood and those who came before him has left a mark on Cerro Gordo's history. They are not just preserving a ghost town, they are giving it new life. Each board replaced, each beam restored, each nail hammered into place is a conversation with the past. It is a dialogue between the present and the forgotten world of the 19th century. These restorations are not mere acts of construction. They are acts of remembrance, a way of honoring those who came before, those whose sweat and dreams built the town and gave it a heartbeat. The mountain itself seems to remember. You can feel it in the air, in the creaking timbers of the American hotel, in the quiet hum of the wind through the dry grasses. Cerro Gordo is alive in a way that no other place can be. It is a town frozen in time, but it is also a town that refuses to stay still. It resists being placed in a museum, boxed up and neatly labeled with a sign that reads, "Historical Site." Cerro Gordo is wild, unpredictable, and independent, much like the people who once lived here. It cannot be categorized or confined. It will not settle into a comfortable narrative. The mountain holds its secrets close, and it will only reveal them to those who are patient enough to listen. For all its beauty and tragedy, Cerro Gordo is not just a relic of the past, it's a living testament to the power of memory. The stories of the miners, the families, and the adventurers who passed through this place, they're not gone. They've been written into the stones, the buildings, and honestly, the very ground itself. And as long as there are folks willing to listen, those stories will continue to be told. The ghosts of Cerro Gordo, well, they're not the spectral figures you read about in fiction. They're the memories of real people, those who lived, labored, and, yeah, even died here. The apparitions that visitors report seeing, shadowy figures moving through the window of the general store, faces appearing in the broken windows of the American hotel, they aren't just figments of imagination. They're the manifestations of the lives that were lived in this place. It's almost as if the town itself can't let go of its past, can't erase the marks left by those who came before. And so, the spirits linger, not as lost souls, but as guardians of memory. Brent Underwood often talks about the mountain as if it were, a living entity. He speaks of it with real reverence, like it's a wise elder that's seen the rise and fall of civilizations, a keeper of secrets that stretches far beyond the reach of written history. When he walks the town, when he restores the buildings and uncovers long-forgotten artifacts, he's not just doing work. He's engaging in a conversation with the past. He's listening to the whispers of the hill, and in doing so, he's breathing life back into a place that many believed was beyond saving. It's not just Brent who's engaged in this dialogue, The folks who visit Cerro Gordo, the tourists, the historians, the preservationists, they're all part of this ongoing conversation. Every single person who sets foot on that mountain adds their own voice to the narrative. They become a part of the town's history, adding their own impressions, their own interpretations of what this place really means. And in doing so, they become a part of the town's resurrection. The work isn't finished, and maybe, honestly, it never will be. Cerro Gordo will keep growing, evolving, changing. It'll never be static. It's going to remain a work in progress, an ongoing restoration, not just of buildings, but of stories. The future of Cerro Gordo, that's a question Brent doesn't take lightly. He spends a lot of time reflecting on what comes next, what more can be done to preserve the town, to keep the whispers of its past alive. There are plans, you see, for a full-scale museum, a place where visitors can really learn about the town's history, where they can walk through the very spaces where history was made. But even then, the museum won't just be a simple collection of artifacts. It'll be a living museum, an immersive experience that lets people feel the weight of the town's past. It'll use the very buildings, the very materials that once formed the heart of Cerro Gordo to tell the story of its rise, its fall, and, its revival. But the museum will not be the end of the story. There are plans for restored lodging, for educational retreats, for an event space that will allow people to gather and share stories. Cerro Gordo is not just a place to visit, it is a place to experience. It's a place to connect with the past, to understand what it means to live on the fringes of civilization, to understand the struggles and triumphs of the people who once called it home. And, as much as it is a place for reflection, Cerro Gordo is also a place for creation. The town is a canvas for new work, for new ideas. The retreats that are being planned will invite writers, artists, and historians to spend time on the mountain, to be inspired by its rugged beauty and rich history. These retreats will not be passive experiences. The goal is not just to observe history, but to create new works that are grounded in the history of the town. The mountain will become a place of inspiration, where new stories are born, where new voices are heard. Cerro Gordo is also looking toward the future of sustainability. The goal is to make the town as self-sufficient as possible, while still maintaining its historical integrity. Solar panels will be installed discreetly on the roofs of the restored buildings, providing clean energy without disrupting the town's period look. Rainwater will be collected for use in the buildings, reducing the town's reliance on external sources. These efforts will ensure that Cerro Gordo can continue to thrive for generations to come while still honoring its past. But the future is not just about the physical restoration of the town, it is also about the stories that will continue to be told. Cerro Gordo's narrative is not just one of the past, but one that stretches into the future. It's a place that will continue to evolve, to inspire, and to provoke thought. It will continue to be a place where history is made, where stories are written, and where the whispers of the past are heard, not just by those who visit, but by those who choose to listen. The work at Cerro Gordo is far from finished, and honestly, perhaps it never will be, but in that lies its beauty. The town will continue to grow, to change, to reveal new secrets. It will always be in a state of becoming, never fully complete but always alive, and as long as there are those who are willing to listen, those who are willing to walk its paths, swing hammers and share its stories, Cerro Gordo will continue to whisper. Its voice will never be silenced. As long as we listen, the hill will keep whispering.